back to his mother who needed him. And Jesus, just the compassion was that great. Was it just because of the situations he saw? Or was it because he was in fact God? And the heart of God is one of comfort, one of seeking to be there for his people. In Isaiah chapter 63 and verse 9, the prophet Isaiah proclaimed in regard to the suffering of God's people that God responded to their plight with empathy and compassion. Now remember that this is a prophecy about who Jesus was going to be before he ever got here. And so the Father is telling his people, as you wait for the compassion, as you wait for my heart to be completely out there for you to see it, you will see it in the person of the Messiah. Because he says here in Isaiah, and I quote, in all their distress, he too was distressed. Who was Isaiah speaking about? He's talking about God. God is distressed when we are distressed. I don't know about you, but that makes me feel pretty good. I don't have just an aloof mover, prime mover of the universe who got it all rolling and then stepped back and said, good luck. I hope she works out for you. Because that's not what the heart of God is about. He too was distressed. And the angel of his presence saved them. In his love and mercy, he redeemed them. And this comforting imagery I just love. He lifted them up and carried them all the days of old. He lifted them up and carried them. We must reject every proposed solution to the mystery of suffering that deprives us of the benevolent presence and the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. Our God is a loving, compassionate God. Secondly, I believe that Jesus rejected the teaching or the doctrine that all suffering was due to sin committed by the sufferers. It just does not make any sense. Jesus lived in a time when people had a very simple solution to the problem of suffering. They believed that people suffered because either they or their parents had sinned. Now, can you imagine how you would feel if you were going through years and years of suffering, and the only answer that someone could come up to was, you had a bad father. Thank you. I feel so much better now. Still suffering, but now I know why. It just didn't ring true. It doesn't make any sense, does it? They were concerned about fixing responsibility for suffering rather than seeking the encouragement and the love and support they needed for it. But Jesus denied that suffering can be traced directly to some sin in the life of the sufferers. Many of us have responded to unexpected and undeserved pain with the question, what have I done to deserve this? God, where did I go wrong? Often when we witness the undeserved suffering of others, we ask the question, why does a good person have to suffer while others are spared that suffering? What's it about? To explain the problem of pain as always being the result of some sin that has been committed by the sufferer is inaccurate and contradicts the teachings of Jesus Christ. We read in Luke chapter 13, verses 1 to 5, Jesus calls attention to the fact that some suffering is due to the cruelty of others. Look what he said there in that particular verse. Do you think that those Galileans were worse sinners than all the other Galileans because they suffered this way? What way? Pilate had martyred a bunch of Galileans and had mixed their blood with the sacrifices to his idols. And Jesus was saying, no, they weren't worse than anybody else. They weren't suffering in this way because of something they did. He was putting it squarely where it belonged. It was on Pilate's shoulders. And then there were other situations. As he goes on in this, he says, what about the 18? Had a tower fall on them and killed them. Were those 18 people worse sinners than anybody else in Siloam? Or was it maybe some faulty engineering and a tower fell on them and they were just in the wrong place at the wrong time? But Jesus does not say, yeah, they were guilty of great sin, so we wiped them out. They're off the face of the earth. Don't have to worry about those people anymore. Because if we could go that way, then all the terrible accidents that happen in life around us or to us would begin to be explained the same way. And that's very flawed, isn't it? It's not realistic nor helpful to say that the tower collapsed because of somebody's sin. Or they had a car accident because of somebody's sin. Or the boat sank because of somebody's sin. Or the house burnt down because of somebody's sin. We can go on, but it just doesn't ring true or make any sense, does it? Thirdly, I believe Jesus would have us reject the idea that pain is an illusion. Some people believe that there is no such thing as pain. That's a mere illusion, and they suggest that we use our minds to eliminate the negative thoughts that produce pain. If you can get in the right state of mind, they say, you can wipe all pain away. It may be a reasonable thing for some people, but I can tell you from my experience that don't work. Don't work. I had colon cancer, and when I woke up, I want you to understand that I learned what pain was from a point of view that even good drugs weren't taking care of it for the first day. The doctor said, I'll give you a button. You can push it every 4 minutes to give you some relief. A little bit of good stuff, he said. And then he came back the next day. He said, why do you keep pushing that button, but every 30 seconds? I said, well, first of all, I didn't have a clock on the wall to know that I had to wait 4 minutes. And when it hurt, what was my first reaction? I wanted comfort. I wanted something to be there. And it was not just in my mind, I'll tell you that right now. It hurt. Did I have colon cancer because I was a sinful man? Oh dear. Maybe that explains it all. Or maybe it doesn't. Maybe the reality here is that things happen, and we have to recognize them, and we have to carry on and live with them because we can learn from them. We can learn from everything that happens to us in life. And so it's not an illusion. To make pain an illusion is a form of escape from reality that will ultimately disappoint and lead to tragedy. And when I say that, I think it's a warning system that God's given us too. You ever had that little twang of pain and say, oh, that's nothing, I'm not going to the doctor? And the next day it's a little worse, nah, I don't have to go see a doctor. You have to wait too long in line. Nah, it's all right. And so then the next day, your wife says to you, you're going to the doctor. Oh, I guess maybe I should have answered that warning, that pain. Maybe that was there for a reason. Many have suffered indescribable pain and anguish because they accepted an inadequate and inaccurate solution to the mystery of pain and suffering, that it was all an illusion. I'm sorry, but that just doesn't work either. And finally, I believe that Jesus would have us reject the idea that present suffering is due to evil done in a previous existence. You ever hear this one? This is a real good one for people who are what's that word now? Existentialists? I don't use big words. Those people who believe that they've lived in other times, they've had existences beyond this one. And the reason they're suffering so much in this lifetime is because in the last one, they were bad people. They were evil. They made a lot of people suffer. And now they're getting what belongs to them. They're getting their share of it. Sounds kind of silly, and yet you would be surprised the number of people in this world who subscribe to that kind of thinking. Many parts of the world, people believe they have no personal responsibility for the suffering they endure in this life. Rather, they believe that the pain of this life is directly due to a life of cruelty and evil and selfishness in a previous existence. And this belief leads to an attitude of hopelessness and absolute helplessness, I would say. Because if I'm willing to accept that the pain that I'm suffering today is because I was a bad boy 3,000 years ago, It doesn't square and it doesn't help my pain and suffering today, does it?